singular.
We received an invitation in the post one Monday morn to attend a cousin's wedding in the town where we were born. The do was back in Kerry, so wishing to be frugal, we trawled the net to find some decent travel deals on Google. Cheap flights, cheap as they can be. Bedad, we found an airline selling flights for 50p. Diddly-I and D and I and ah.
Well, we clicked onto the website and were mightily surprised to find the actual cost was not quite as advertised. We'd forgotten airport taxes had also to be billed, but a bargain is a bargain and bigger we were thrilled. Cheap flights, stands to Tralee. That isn't every airline offers flights for 50p. Diddly-I and D and ah, and diddly-I and D and ah, and diddly-I and D and I and ah.
After studying the website, we decided it was best to pay priority boarding so that we'd sit two abreast.
Two abreast, that's the best.
And of course we both had luggage, and that's an extra cost. And then we paid insurance in case our cases might get lost.
Ah, cheap flights, it's obvious to see. There must be extra charges when the flight's for 50p. Diddly-I and D and ah, and diddly-I and D and ah, and diddly-I and D and I and ah.
Well, at last the flights were booked, with all of the additions. We'd read the reams of small print of terms and conditions, and then bedad they charged for using Visa, which was drastic, 'cause how the heck are you supposed to pay if not with ruddy plastic?
Cheap flights, we paid the swindling fee, 'cause by now we were committed to the flights for 50p. Diddly-I and D and ah, and diddly-I and D and ah, and someone's being diddled and it's us, so it is. Ah-hone, 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 ah-key change. Well, I don't know if you've tried locating Stansted on the map, but checking in at 5 a.m. is enough to make you flap. You're banned just if you try to catch a train or underground, and a taxi to the end of the world was more than £100. Cheap flights, we should have gone by sea. There's no such ruddy thing as ruddy flights for 50p. Heckety, 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 heck. Heckety, 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 heck. At last we reached the airport where we had to pay a fine. They charged another 50 quid 'cause we hadn't checked in online. And finally aboard the flight there's an extra class of tax, 'cause they take £1 when you leave the ground and you have to use the jacks. Ah, cheap flights, it's obvious to see. You only simply just thinks there's flights for 50p. Cheating, swindling, cheap flight farce. Cheating, swindling, cheap flight farce.
Sad verse. Well, finally we landed and tried to shuffle up the aisle, but the steward sent us down to the back with never a hint of a smile. And when we heard the announcement, our hearts gave a terrible thump. If you haven't prepaid to use the steps, you're gonna have to jump.
Oh, cheap flights, you're harking on to me. You're an idiot if you really think there's flights for 50p.